Hi, everyone. Welcome back to English Phrases Hub. Today, we'll talk about a big step in learning English. How to stop sounding like a textbook and start sounding more natural. Have you ever felt this? You know grammar. You know many words. But when you speak, it sounds a little slow. Don't worry. You're not alone. There's a simple reason for this. And here's the secret. It's not about learning more words. It's about learning the right words. Today, we'll learn a special kind of word. Words that native English speakers use all the time. These words are called phrasal verbs. And guess what? We'll learn 30 important phrasal verbs that can really change how you sound when you speak English. Don't worry, I'll explain each one clearly. You'll hear short dialogues, and we'll review them together. Are you ready? Let's get started. First, let's break down exactly what a phrasal verb is and see why it can totally change the way you sound when you speak English. Okay? So the idea is actually super simple. You take a normal verb you already know, like look or get, and you add a little word to it, like up, out, or after. But here's where the magic comes in. When you put them together, they create a whole new meaning. Let's look at a perfect example. The verb look, right? By itself, it just means to use your eyes to see something. But when you add the word after, it becomes look after. And now it means to take care of someone. A completely different meaning, right? Now, there's one important thing you should know about phrasal verbs if you want to sound natural. It's called separability. Some phrasal verbs are separable. That means you can put the little word like up or off after the verb or after the noun. For example, turn off. Imagine you want to stop the TV. You can say, turn off the TV, or turn the TV off. Both are correct. In this case, the little word off can move. That's why we call it separable. But here's the important part. Some phrasal verbs are inseparable. That means the verb and the particle must stay together. For example, I look after my dog. You cannot say, I look my dog after. That sounds very strange and completely wrong to a native speaker. So remember, some phrasal verbs are separable and some are inseparable. Knowing the difference will make your English sound more natural and much clearer. Phrasal verbs are everywhere in English, in movies, conversations, even in texts. If you want to speak like a native speaker, you need to use them. So now, let's see how they work in real life. We've got these 30 verbs, and we've put them into 6 groups, like communication, plans, or feelings. This makes you easier to remember and use them in your conversations right away. All right, let's jump into section 1. We're starting with verbs that are really important for just talking to people. Number 1, to add up. We usually use this in negative situations, like when someone gives you a strange excuse or when their story doesn't make sense. If you feel something is not true, you'd say it doesn't add up. For example, her story didn't add up. I think she's lying. Or imagine your coworker gives you a long, confusing reason for missing a deadline. You listen carefully, but in your head, you're thinking, that doesn't really add up. See? It's short, natural, and much easier than saying, I don't believe you. It's a very useful verb. Number 2, to back somebody up. This means to support someone. It can be about agreeing with what they say in a conversation, helping them in a difficult situation, or even defending them in an argument. It's like saying, I've got your back. It gives the feeling that someone is standing with you. Back up sounds much stronger than just saying, I will support you. It feels more active, more confident. Now, this verb can be split when the object is a noun. For example, I'll back up your idea, or I'll back your idea up. Both are correct. But honestly, the most natural way is when you use it with a person. I'll back you up, or I'll back him up. That's how people usually say it. Number 3, bring it on. This one is full of energy. Bring it on means you're ready, you're excited, and you're not afraid of the challenge in front of you. You're basically saying, okay, I accept your challenge. Let's do this. I'm not scared. Give me your best shot. But here's the important part for learners. The tone is everything. If you say it with a smile, maybe when playing a game with friends, it's fun and playful. For example, someone says, "You think you'll win this time?" You answer, "Bring it on." But if you say it in a low, serious voice, maybe staring at someone, it can sound aggressive, like you're actually looking for a fight. Number 4, to find out. This phrasal verb is all about discovery. learning new information that you didn't know before. It means to discover something, often for the first time. And sometimes there's a little bit of mystery or searching involved. For example, you'd say, I found out the truth. Or, she found out the news yesterday. This sounds much more natural than saying something like, I ascertained the information. People just don't talk that way in daily life. So, you might ask a friend, how did you find out about the party? Or, when you're reading a mystery novel, you want to know what the detective finds out in the end. So, remember, find out is the everyday way to say you discovered something. And that's the end of our first group, communication phrasal verbs. You've learned add up, when something makes sense or doesn't make sense. Back somebody up, to support or defend someone. Bring it on, to accept a challenge with confidence. Find out, to discover new information. Now let's hear them in action within this short dialogue.
Emma, I just heard Mark's excuse for being late. He said he missed the bus. Then he said his car broke down. Honestly, it doesn't add up.
Yeah, his story sounds strange. Don't worry, I'll back you up if someone asks. We both know he wasn't being honest.
Thanks. I need that support. By the way, you know I'm nervous about the quiz tomorrow.
Nervous? Come on, bring it on. You've been studying hard.
True, but I still need to find out what chapters are included. Do you know?
Not yet, but let's ask the teacher after class. We'll find out together.
Perfect. Thanks, Emma. You always make English feel easier.
Now, let's move on to section 2. And this one is super practical for everyday life. Managing plans. This is the stuff we all deal with all the time. Making plans, changing them, organizing things, and trust me, knowing these verbs really helps when you're planning and arranging things in English. Number 5, to call off. This one is for when plans go wrong. To call off means to cancel something that was already planned. A meeting, an event, a trip, whatever it might be. Now, call off and cancel are very close in meaning, but sometimes call off feels a little more sudden or connected to an outside reason, like bad weather. Still, in conversation, people often use them in the same way. For example, they called off the wedding. That's a huge cancellation. Or, the football match was called off because of the heavy rain. Here's something important. Call off is separable. You can say, they called off the meeting, or they called the meeting off. Both are correct. And when the object is short, like meeting, people often separate it. So call off is a really natural way to talk about canceled plans. Number 6, to check in. To check in means to register your arrival somewhere. You're basically letting people know you've arrived, often by giving your name or details. It's that official first step when you arrive. For example, you might ask your friend, "What time do we need to check in at the hotel?" Or, "You need to check in for your flight at least 2 hours early." One more thing, check in is inseparable. You say check in at the hotel, not check the hotel in. The action is always check in and then the place. Number 7, to turn down. To turn down means to refuse or reject something. It could be an offer, an invitation, or maybe a request for help. It's actually a polite way to say no. It's direct, but it doesn't usually sound rude. It's just the standard way to decline something. For example, you get offered a job, but the commute is too long. You say, "I turned it down." You thought about it, but you said no. Now, here's the grammar part. Turn down is separable. You can say, "I turned down the offer," or "I turned the offer down." Both are fine. But if the object is a pronoun, like it, him, her, or them, it must go in the middle. So you'd say, "I turned it down," not "I turned down it." That just sounds wrong. So remember, this is the pronoun rule for separable verbs. Always put the pronoun in the middle. To put off. You know that thing you're supposed to do, but you keep telling yourself, I'll do it later. Well, that's it. So, put off means to decide or arrange to delay an event or activity until a later time or date. You're putting it off. I think we can all relate to this one, right? A textbook might teach you to say, "I will postpone cleaning my room." But honestly, nobody really talks like that. A native speaker would just say, "I always put off cleaning." It's just so much more casual and real. That's the end of Section 2, all about managing plans. You've learned call off, to cancel something that was planned, check in, to register your arrival at a place, turn down, to politely refuse or reject something, put off, to delay or postpone something until later. Now, let's listen to a short dialogue in action.
Bad news, Emma. They had to call off the music festival because of the rain.
Oh no, that's disappointing. Well, at least we can still check in early at the hotel and explore the town.
True. By the way, Sarah asked if we want to join her hiking group tomorrow.
I think I'll turn that down. I really just want a relaxing weekend.
Same here. And speaking of relaxing, let's not put off packing until the last minute like we always do.
Agreed. Let's get it done tonight so we can enjoy tomorrow stress-free. Now, let's move into section 3. And this one gets a little more personal. Here, we'll look at phrasal verbs about feelings, relationships, and what happens when things don't go so smoothly. When you master these verbs, your English will sound much more natural, more emotionally intelligent, and easier for people to relate to. Number 9. To calm down. This one is super useful because we all need it sometimes. To calm down means to relax. It's about becoming less angry, less upset, or even less excited if you're too hyper. You might say to a stressed friend, "Take a breath, you need to calm down." Or you can even use it for yourself. For example, before giving a big presentation, you might think, "Okay, I just need to calm down a little first." Now, here's the grammar point. Calm down is separable. You can say, "Try to calm the baby down," or "He needed help to calm down." Both are fine. But when you're speaking directly to someone, like saying, "Calm down," then it's inseparable. To grow up. To grow up mainly means the process of changing from being a child into an adult, getting older, becoming more responsible. You use it to talk about where you lived when you were a child. It covers everything from playing with toys to becoming a full-fledged adult. That's why instead of saying, "I spent my childhood years in a small town," you just say, "I grew up in a small town." "I grew up in London," or "She grew up on a farm." It tells the story of your early life. It sounds so much more natural. It's always inseparable when used this way, but you can also use it in another way, like if someone is acting like a child. You might tell someone who's being really childish, "Grow up." It means start acting like an adult. Got it? Hang out. Hang out means to spend time with someone in a relaxed way. This is maybe one of the most common, informal ways to talk about just spending time with friends. See, it's not about a specific plan. It's just about the vibe. Relaxed, no pressure, just enjoying each other's company. So, you wouldn't say, "I will spend free time with my friends." It's too formal. You just say, "Hey, let's hang out this weekend." It's simple, friendly, and very common. Number 12. To get along. This phrasal verb is all about relationships. To get along means having a friendly relationship with someone. You cooperate well, you don't fight much, and you basically like each other. It's the natural way to say that people have a good connection. For example, my brother and I didn't always get along when we were kids, but we're fine now. Or, everyone in my team really gets along. It makes work so much nicer. Here's the rule. You get along with someone. You don't get someone along or anything like that. It always stays as get along. So, if you want to talk about positive relationships in English, this is the phrase to use. Number 13. To break down. This phrasal verb has two very common meanings, and they're quite different, but both are about something failing completely. Meaning 1. Machines or vehicles. When something mechanical stops working, it breaks down. For example, my car broke down on the motorway. Or, the washing machine broke down again. Here, it means the machine stopped working and needs repair. And in this meaning, the verb is inseparable. Meaning 2. Emotions. When a person loses control of their feelings, usually because of stress, sadness, or shock, we also say they break down. For example, she heard the bad news and just broke down. Or, he tried to stay strong, but eventually he broke down and cried. Number 14. To run away. To run away means to leave a place quickly, usually because you're scared, in danger, or just really don't want to stay there. The classic example is a child running away from home. That's a common use. But it can also be much simpler. For instance, imagine a little kid sees a big, scary dog barking at them. They turn and run away. So the idea is always about escaping or fleeing from a situation. Important detail. It's inseparable. You always say, run away from something. For example, he ran away from the fire. You don't say, run the fire away. So remember, run away equals leave quickly, usually out of fear or avoidance. And that's the end of our third group, feelings and relationship phrasal verbs. You've learned calm down, to relax and become less angry, upset, or excited. Grow up, to change from being a child into an adult, or to act more mature. Hang out, to spend time with someone in a relaxed, informal way. Get along, to have a friendly relationship with someone. Break down, to collapse emotionally, or for a machine to stop working. run away, to leave quickly, often out of fear or to escape. Now, let's hear them in action within this short dialogue.
Ugh, I was so stressed this morning. I just couldn't calm down before my presentation.
That happens. You'll get better with practice. Honestly, Jack, sometimes you need to grow up and not let nerves control you.
Okay, fair point. Anyway, do you want to hang out this weekend? Maybe grab some pizza?
Sounds great. You know, I really like how everyone in our group gets along. No drama, just fun.
Totally. Last week, though, Sarah broke down when she lost her job. That was tough to watch.
Yeah, but we were there for her. That's what friends do. At least she didn't run away from the problem. She's facing it.
True. And we'll all back her up, right?
Always. That's how we grow stronger together. That brings us to section 4. This group of phrasal verbs is super useful if you're focused on achieving goals, whether that's learning English, working hard at your job, managing money, or even talking about what happens when businesses stop. Let's kick off with number 15, to keep on. To keep on means to continue doing something. The key idea is persistence. You don't stop, you just keep going, even if it's difficult or repetitive. For example, keep on trying, keep on working. Think of a little boy learning the guitar. His fingers hurt. Maybe he couldn't play it right at first, but he kept on practicing every day. Or imagine you're studying these phrasal verbs. If it feels hard sometimes, I'd say to you, keep on studying them. Keep on listening. Keep on practicing. This one is inseparable. You always say, keep on doing something. So whenever you want to encourage persistence, this is the phrase to use. Number 16, to stick with. This one is close to keep on, but with a slightly different flavor. To stick with means to continue doing something difficult, but the focus here is on loyalty and commitment, not just the action itself. So think of it this way. Keep on is about the action. Stick with is about the dedication to the bigger goal. For example, you keep on practicing your piano scales, that's the repeated action, but you stick with your goal of learning to play the piano. That's the commitment. You might advise someone, stick with your studies, don't give up, and you'll definitely improve. So whenever you want to encourage dedication or long-term effort, this is the phrase to use. Number 17, to give up. This phrasal verb means to stop trying, to quit, to abandon your effort or goal. It's the moment when persistence ends. For example, think of someone training for a marathon. The first few weeks are incredibly tough. He feels like quitting, but he doesn't give up. He keeps going. That's why this verb is so powerful in motivation. You'll often hear the message, "Don't give up." And of course, don't give up on learning English. Now, grammar note. Give up is separable. You can say, "I decided to give up smoking," or "I decided to give smoking up." Both are correct. So remember, give up is about stopping, but most of the time, the advice is the opposite. Don't give up. Number 18. To chip in. To chip in means to contribute a small amount, usually money, but it can also mean effort towards a bigger group goal. It's when everyone puts in a little bit. For example, we're getting Sarah a birthday gift. Do you want to chip in maybe $5? Everyone gives a small amount to make it happen. But it's not just money. It can also be effort. Imagine a team is behind on a project. The manager might say, "Okay, everyone, let's all chip in an extra hour tonight to get this finished." So, chip in is about sharing money, sharing time, or sharing work. And here's the grammar note. It's inseparable. You usually chip in for something or chip in on something. Number 19. To close down. To close down means to shut a business or an operation completely and permanently. This usually happens when the business isn't making enough money or doesn't have enough customers. So it's not just closing for the day, it's closing for good. For example, imagine a small bookstore. Maybe online shopping hurt their sales. Fewer customers came in, and eventually the owners had to make the sad decision to close down the shop. We only use close down for businesses, shops, factories, or restaurants. You wouldn't say close down your laptop. For that, you just say shut down or close. And grammar note. Close down is separable. All right, that's it for our fourth group, phrasal verbs about goals and persistence. Here's a quick review of them. Keep on. To continue doing something even when it's hard. Stick with. To stay committed to a plan or goal. Give up. To quit or stop trying. Chip in. To contribute money, effort, or time to a group goal. Close down. To shut a business or operation permanently. Now, let's hear a quick dialogue and see these phrasal verbs in action.
Emma, this math problem is impossible. I think I'm going to give up.
Don't give up, Jack. Just stick with it a little longer. You're closer than you think.
Maybe, but it's so boring. How do you keep on working when your brain feels tired?
I usually take a short break, then I keep on going. Small steps make a big difference.
Okay, but I might need some help. Can you chip in with an idea or two?
Sure, let's look at the formula together. I'll chip in with some hints, and you try to solve it.
Hey, it works. I got the answer.
See? I told you not to give up.
Thanks, Emma. You know, if this coffee shop ever closes down, I'll miss these study sessions.
Me too. But until then, let's stick with our routine. Coffee, books, and teamwork. That brings us to section 5. This group is all about how we physically move around, how we find things, and, very importantly, how we stay safe. These are verbs you'll hear when talking about being out and about in the world. Let's start with number 20, to get around. To get around means how you usually travel or move from one place to another, especially within a town or city. It's about your normal way of getting from point A to point B. For example, in my city, it's easiest to get around by subway. Or, I usually get around by bike when the weather's nice. Sometimes people also complain, it's really hard to get around here without a car. That means the public transport isn't great, or maybe it's not very easy to walk from place to place. So, get around is an inseparable phrase. You always say, get around by bus, get around by train, get around by car. It's a super practical verb, especially if you're talking about travel in your daily life. Number 21. To look for. To look for means to actively try to find something. You have a specific thing in mind and you're searching for it. For example, I'm looking for my wallet. Have you seen it anywhere? Or, she went to the library to look for a specific book. So this isn't random searching, it's intentional. You know what you want, and you're trying to find it. And remember, look for is inseparable. You always say, look for something. Simple, clear, and very common. Number 22. To come across. To come across means to find something completely by chance, unexpectedly. You weren't looking for it at all. It's an accidental discovery. For example, you might be searching for your keys, but while doing that, you come across an old letter you'd forgotten about. So here's the key difference. Look for is searching on purpose. Come across is finding by accident. Another example, Sam was just tidying his room and he came across an old childhood photograph tucked away in a drawer. He wasn't searching for photos, it just happened. And grammar note, come across is inseparable. you always say, come across something. This is a really useful distinction for everyday English. To watch out. To watch out means be careful, pay attention, because there might be danger nearby. It's almost always used as a quick, urgent warning. For example, if you see a car coming toward your friend who isn't looking, you'd shout, "Watch out!" Or, "Watch out! The floor is wet." It's an immediate call to awareness, something you say fast to stop something bad from happening. And grammar note, it's inseparable. You don't split it. You just say, "Watch out for that bike." Short, sharp, and very common. Number 24. To pull over. To pull over means to move your car, bike, or other vehicle to the side of the road and stop safely. You might do this for different reasons. Maybe you need to check directions, make a phone call, or because you suddenly feel unwell. A very common situation is when a police officer signals you to stop. For example, the police car flashed its lights, so I had to pull over. Another example, I needed to pull over and check the map. So remember, pull over is mostly inseparable. You just say, pull over to the side of the road. This one is especially useful if you're driving in English-speaking countries. Number 25. To turn off. To turn off means to stop a machine or device from working, usually by pressing a switch or button. You use it for things like lights, the TV, a computer, or an engine. It's the opposite of turn on. And here's the grammar point. This is a classic separable phrasal verb. You can say, please turn off the lights, or please turn the lights off. Both are correct. But if the object is a pronoun, like them, it must go in the middle. Please turn them off. So, turn off is a super common, everyday phrase you'll use all the time. All right, that's the end of our fifth group, movement and safety phrasal verbs. Let's quickly review what you've learned. Get around, to move or travel from place to place. Look for, to actively search for something. Come across, to find something by chance. Watch out, to be careful, often as a quick warning. Pull over, to move a vehicle to the side of the road and stop safely. Turn off, to stop a machine or device from working. Now, let's hear them in action in a short dialogue.
Emma, this traffic is crazy. How do people get around the city so fast?
Most people use the metro or scooters. It's an easy way to get around without the traffic jams.
Makes sense. By the way, I'm looking for a gas station. The fuel light is on.
Don't worry, we'll find one soon. Just keep your eyes open. You might come across one on this road.
Wait! Watch out! That car is changing lanes without a signal.
Good catch. Let's stay safe. Maybe we should pull over for a minute and check the map.
Yeah, good idea. I'll pull over at the next safe spot.
And when you stop, don't forget to turn off the engine. We don't want to waste fuel.
Got it. Hopefully, we'll come across that gas station soon. Until then, I'll just keep looking for the signs.
Exactly. We'll get there. Just drive carefully and watch out for the traffic. And now we've reached our last group, Section 6. This one is all about surprises and sudden changes. These are the verbs you'll hear when something unexpected happens. We'll also look at how people deal with problems and sometimes how they get even. So this section is all about handling the unexpected. Number 26. To turn up. This phrasal verb has two very common meanings, and they're completely different. Meaning 1. Arrival. To turn up means to arrive or appear somewhere, often when people weren't sure if you would. It's not just about arriving. It often has that feeling of surprise. For example, we invited him, but we weren't sure he'd come. Then, halfway through the party, he just turned up. Or, I waited for ages, but she never turned up. In this sense, turn up is inseparable. You simply say, turn up somewhere. Meaning 2. To turn up can also mean to increase the level of something, like sound or heat. For example, can you turn up the radio? I can't hear it. Or, it's cold in here. Could you turn up the heating? This meaning is separable. You can say, turn up the music, or turn the music up. And if it's a pronoun, it must go in the middle. Turn it up. So, turn up can either mean arriving, sometimes unexpectedly, or increasing something like sound or heat. To come up. This one is what I like to call the classic excuse. To come up means that something unexpected has happened, usually something that forces you to change your plans. It's the perfect polite way to cancel without going into all the details. For example, you have plans to meet a friend, but then your boss asks you to work late. You could call your friend and say, So sorry, I can't make it tonight. Something's come up at work. And that's it. You don't need to explain more. Just saying something came up is usually enough. So, come up is inseparable. You always say something came up. It's short, polite, and very, very useful in everyday English. Number 28. To get back. This one's an essential phrasal verb with two common meanings. Meaning 1, physical return. To get back means to return to a place you were before. For example, I'm going out for lunch. I'll get back to the office around 2 p.m. Or, what time did you get back from your holiday? Here, it's inseparable. You just say get back to a place. Meaning 2, communication. To get back to someone means to contact them again later, usually with information or an answer you didn't have right away. For example, in a work context, someone asks you a question, but you don't know the answer. You could say, let me check that for you, and I'll get back to you this afternoon. This sounds polite, professional, and it's very common in business English. And notice, it's inseparable from the person. You get back to someone. So remember, get back is either about returning physically or about returning to a conversation later. Number 29. To work out. This phrasal verb also has two very common meanings. Meaning 1, exercise. To work out means to do physical exercise, like going to the gym, running, or lifting weights. For example, I tried to work out 3 times a week. It simply means to train your body. And it's inseparable when used this way. You just work out. Meaning 2, finding a solution. To work out can also mean to solve a problem or find a solution, often through effort or discussion. For example, if a couple is having problems, they might try to work things out. Or, we need to work out a budget for this project. Here it means to figure it out, to make a plan. And this meaning is separable. You can say, they need to work out their problems, or they need to work their problems out. Very often, you'll also hear, don't worry, we'll work it out. So, work out can mean training your body or solving your problems. Two very useful meanings. Number 30. To get back at. To get back at someone means to do something unpleasant to them because they did something unpleasant to you first. In other words, it's revenge. Now, this can be playful or serious, depending on the context. For example, friends might play pranks on each other. If Max played a prank on Jake, Jake might get back at him by pulling an even bigger prank. But, of course, it can also be more serious, doing something in return for a real wrong. Grammar note: this one is inseparable. You always say, get back at someone. And notice how just adding that little word at completely changes the meaning of get back. Without it, get back can mean return or respond politely. With at, it suddenly means revenge. That's the power and sometimes the challenge of phrasal verbs. And that wraps up our sixth and final group, surprises and reactions phrasal verbs. You've learned turn up, to arrive or appear, often unexpectedly, or to increase volume or intensity. Come up, when something unexpected happens that changes your plans. Get back, to return to a place or to contact someone again later. Work out, to exercise or to solve a problem or find a solution. Get back at, to take revenge or do something unpleasant in return. Now, let's listen to a short dialogue in action.
Guess what, Emma? Yesterday, I lost my keys, but then they turned up in my backpack. I felt so silly.
That happens to me too. Sometimes things just turn up when you stop looking for them.
Yeah, and something else came up at work. My boss asked me to cover for a colleague at the last minute.
Oh no, that must have been stressful.
It was. I just wanted to get back home and relax, but I had to stay late.
Well, at least you got through it. Did the project work out in the end?
Yes, actually, it did work out. Everyone was happy with the results.
That's great. But your boss owes you one. Maybe you should get back at him by asking for an extra day off.
Yeah, that would be a nice way to get back at him, but in a good way.
Exactly. Not revenge, just balance. So that's it. 30 phrasal verbs we've covered. From stories that don't add up, to not giving up, to plans that get called off, and even how to get back at someone. Hopefully, everyone listening now has a much stronger toolkit for making conversations sound more natural and more confident. That's really the goal, because these aren't just random words. Native speakers use them constantly, almost without thinking. And just swapping a formal word like postpone for put off can instantly make your English sound more fluent and conversational. Plus, understanding separability, knowing when you can split them, like turn the light off, and when you can't, like look after the cat, that's crucial for getting them right and sounding natural. We've tried to keep this deep dive practical, simple explanations, clear examples, and little stories you can connect to. Hopefully, it felt easy to follow, especially if you're a beginner or intermediate learner. Now, here's the big question. Which phrasal verbs are you going to stick with starting today? Go on, give it a try. Write them in the comments and bring them into your speech. That's how you turn learning into real language. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and share it with a friend who's also learning English. Let's keep learning together. Bye-bye, and see you next time.